Welcome back to another explainer from Forge College. If you were with us for the last lesson on presenting and delivering audit results, you know we've got some beautifully audited code. But let's be real here. Your code might look absolutely pristine on paper, but reality is an entirely different beast. We're currently working through the testing and verification of Composable Systems module, which is part of our Advanced Solidity projects track. And honestly, it's time to put your carefully composed systems under some extreme pressure.
Think of it this way. Unit testing with mock contracts, it's kind of like testing a single steel beam or just one brick in a quiet, pristine lab. But stress testing is like driving 100 heavily loaded trucks over the fully assembled bridge at the exact same time during a hurricane. Mocks are fantastic for isolating specific behaviors, sure, but they completely fail to show you how the entire assembled structure shakes, rattles, and potentially collapses into the river when it's hit with chaotic real-world network traffic.
So here is the blueprint for today's explainer. We'll move beyond mock tests, build a test harness, generate load, analyze the metrics, and finally reproduce the failures.
All right, let's jump straight into section 1. Beyond mock tests, it's time to leave the safety of isolated environments. Because listen, the Web3 mainnet is not a quiet sandbox. It is a bustling metropolis with unpredictable traffic, ruthless MEV bots, the whole shebang. Stress testing forces your composed system to its absolute breaking point using a realistic volume. We really want to know, does it handle 50 users claiming yield at the exact same second, or does it completely lock up and trap user funds? We absolutely need to know this before we deploy.
Moving right along to section 2, building the test harness and assembling your infrastructure.
To build this harness, we follow a simple 4-step schematic drawn out here. We spin up a local node, deploy our fixtures, run the load generator, and save the results. Doing this gives you a deterministic, high-speed demolition zone. You have total control, and more importantly, absolutely nobody loses their life savings.
Now, before you start pouring the concrete, make sure your toolkit actually has what you need. A local Node.js project, the Ethers library, Hardhat or Ganache, and a testing framework like Mocha. By keeping this entirely local, you skip the hassle of real wallets and live block times, which makes rapid iteration pretty much painless.
Which brings us to section 3, generating concurrency and load. Time to actually fire off those transactions. We control this engineered stress using 2 main levers, as you can see sketched out here. The batch size for concurrency and the number of batches for the duration. So batch size dictates literally how many transactions we attempt to process at the exact same moment, sending an intense spike of traffic to mutate shared state. Batches, on the other hand, controls how many rounds of this we execute, letting us monitor sustained pressure over time. Tweak these 2 simple variables and you go from a light breeze to a Category 5 data hurricane.
But what happens if you run this script and immediately see a massive, terrifying wall of red revert errors across your terminal? Your first instinct might be to panic and assume your entire smart contract architecture is fundamentally broken. Take a deep breath. Actually, scratch that. Don't panic at all. Often, it's just a problem with how you are driving the trucks, not the bridge itself.
In our Solidity and Ethereum quest here at Forge College, we see developers make 2 mistakes here all the time, hitting nonce collisions from a single signer and falsely expecting synchronous receipts. If you use one wallet to fire off 20 concurrent sends, the network gets confused about the nonce order and just rejects them. Plus, Web3 transactions can be mined out of order. Your script must use JavaScript's promise.allSettled to wait for outcomes rather than assuming request order equals commit order. Okay, section 4, analyzing the stress metrics and reading the blueprint. Once the dust settles from our load generator, we extract the critical data into a JSON artifact. Just look at this neat little technical table mapping out batch indexes, elapsed time, successes, failures, and total gas used. This tabular data is your forensic evidence. You can easily spot where latency suddenly spikes or where the total gas used indicates that our loops are becoming dangerously inefficient as the contract state grows larger. Now, here's the curveball. Surprisingly, if your stress test runs perfectly with 0 variation, 0 latency spikes, and 0 failures, that is actually a massive red flag. It means you didn't engineer enough contention. A completely flawless run usually means your transactions didn't actually interact with shared state simultaneously. You want to see the system sweat a little bit. You want to see a mixture of successes and failures, or at least sustained latency increases, so you know for sure you actually stress the system.
Finally, section 5, reproducing the failures to find the weakling. When you do spot a failure in those metrics, and trust me, you will, you've got to put on your forensic engineer hat. You rerun the specific batch with deterministic inputs at a much slower cadence to capture the exact revert trace. You isolate that failing transaction, peek into the EVM's execution using your local node's tracing tools, and locate the exact failing opcode. You are literally zooming in on the microscopic crack in the concrete, capturing the revert message and documenting the exact steps so another engineer can reproduce your findings.
As the final architect's note on our schematic states, isolated mocks are necessary, but only concurrent stress scenarios reveal how the entire system truly interacts under pressure. You can't just test the parts, you absolutely must test the whole machine while the engine is redlining to expose those sneaky timing, contention, and gas resource bugs. So the big question, will your assembled smart contract structure hold up under the chaotic earthquake of a Web3 mainnet environment? To dive deeper into these composability quests, learn how to run reproducible artifacts, and map these findings to architectural checklists, you've got to visit forge.college to reinforce your foundations today. Thanks for joining this explainer, and we'll see you in the next one.